Good evening and welcome to the commemorative area of the Australian War Memorial for this special last post ceremony. My name is Craig Burrell. Shortly, a current serving member of the Australian Defence Force will read tonight's story. We would like to acknowledge the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. If you are able, please stand and join in singing the Australian National Anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are young and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty rich and rare. In history's page let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the hearts of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Now we will hear the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century.
Good evening. My name is Colonel Frank Colley and I'm currently serving with the Australian Army. Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Thomas Rawlings. Thomas Henry Rawlings was born in 1898, one of 5 children of Thomas and Mary Rawlings of Mildura in northwest Victoria. The Rawlings family were well known and respected in the local community, with Thomas's father being the chairman of the Mildura Irrigation Trust and presiding in the local police court in the years before the war. After attending Nichols Point State School and Mildura High School, Thomas worked as a horticulturalist. He also served in the local cadet unit in accord with the compulsory military training scheme. Once war was declared, the Rawlings family were heavily involved in the Mildura Recruiting Committee and the local Red Cross sub-branch. Thomas Rawlings enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force in Mildura in March 1916, immediately after his 18th birthday. According to the local newspaper, he was so desirous of doing his duty to the Empire that his parents did not stand in the way. He spent 3 months training at Epsom Racecourse in Bendigo and the military camp at Camberwell near Melbourne, after which he embarked for the training camps in England as an original member of the 38th Battalion. The battalion spent several more months training at Lark Hill on the Salisbury Plain in Wiltshire before sailing for France in December 1916. Rawlings entered the trenches on the Western Front for the first time near the town of Armentières, where the 38th Battalion learned the rigours and routine of trench warfare in France. Here they patrolled no man's land at night, carried out trench raids on the Germans opposite them. Rawlings was in hospital recovering from a minor inflammatory complaint when 400 members of the battalion conducted its big raid on the German trenches near Ypres in February 1917. His first major action on the Western Front took place at nearby Mézines on the 7th of June 1917, when the 38th Battalion captured and held the devastated German defences following the detonation of 19 underground mines beneath the white-shaped Mézines Ridge. In the following weeks, the British conducted a major offensive that sought to break out of the Ypres salient and reclaim the northern Belgian coastline from the German army. The Australians were involved in a series of methodically planned attacks carried out on a limited front which drove a wedge into the German defences towards Passchendaele village. The 38th Battalion was involved in the attack at Brunsender on the 4th of October 1917, in what was to be one of the last successes of the Third Battle of Ypres, before the campaign bogged down in the quagmire of thick, glutinous mud. The 38th Battalion took their objectives that day, overcoming a number of German machine gun positions once the artillery's creeping barrage rolled over the top of them. It was a short, sharp and successful operation, carried out as the battalion had planned. According to the officer commanding A Company, of which Thomas was a part, there was no conspicuously gallant acts, but the whole of the company went over without exception, animated by a desire to do their duty to the utmost. But victory came at a cost, with 184 members of the 38th Battalion being killed and wounded at the Brunsender attack. Among the dead was Thomas Rawlings, who was 19 years old. His body was never recovered from the battlefield, and today his name is listed on the Menegate Memorial to the Missing at Ypres, among 6,187 Australian soldiers killed fighting in Belgium who have no known grave. His name is also listed on the Roll of Honour among almost 62,000 Australians who died in the First World War. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. Today, we remember Private Thomas Rawlings, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there in Pozières or in the low scrub of Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you for watching and wish you all a very good evening.